Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. Not an awful lot to talk about this week, so I thought I'd start things off by having another really good whinge about YouTube. Because they're always good for it. If ever it's been a bit of a slow news week, you can always rely on YouTube to do something outrageous and screw things up. And there's a couple of things that they've done this time around. One of them, the first thing I'm going to talk about, is it's not actually that big of an issue. It's just really, really annoying. So, those of you out there who do put your own videos up onto YouTube are probably aware that you've been able to self-assess your videos for quite some time now. So, for the benefit of those who have no idea what I'm talking about, what happens now when you upload a video to YouTube? Well, one of the many things that happens now when you upload a video to YouTube is that you get to rate the content. So YouTube has a whole bunch of categories. Violence, bad language, sexual content, drug use, alcohol use, this sort of thing. And you, before you can publish the video, you must answer this content questionnaire. And I always answered it accurately and truthfully, because there's no point in trying to bullshit YouTube. I mean, you can try. You could put a video up that's full of gratuitous violence and loads of swearing and say, yeah, no, there's none of that in this video. The second the video goes up and YouTube's algorithm gets a look at it, it's going to know that you're bullshitting them. And so your rating accuracy is going to take a nosedive, and YouTube basically won't trust a word that you say when it comes to rating your own videos. So I've always been truthful, because there's no point in trying to lie. I mean, it's fairly obvious once the video goes up. In fact, even before the video is published, YouTube's algorithm checks it over. And the algorithm's pretty good at rating the content of the video, or at least I thought it was. More on that in a moment. But I've always been truthful. For example, when I was putting up the Cyberpunk 2077 videos, let's see, violence, oh yes. Foul language, definitely. Sexual content, every now and then, yes. Drug and alcohol misuse, absolutely. So I would answer all of these questions truthfully, and they're not just straight yes-no answers, by the way. You get to grade the level of content as well. So, for example, I mean, I've been known to drop the occasional F-bomb in a video, and in a World of Warships video where I do drop an F-bomb, I will rate the content as containing mild bad language. You know, it's a bit like Hollywood. In a PG-13 movie, you're allowed one F-bomb. And I don't overdo it. You know, I'm not gratuitous about the swearing. I mean, I'm British. We do tend to swear quite a bit. And what you hear me saying on YouTube is actually quite tame compared to my normal conversation. I was a sailor after all. You know, the expression swearing like a sailor is there for a good reason. But I do tone it down drastically for YouTube because I want to make sure that the content is suitable for most advertisers. This is the whole point of YouTube's self-assessment rating system. When it comes to rating violent content in your videos, in a World of Tanks or a World of Warships video, it's absolutely fine. They're more concerned with violence against people rather than violence against tanks and ships. You know, that doesn't matter. But in a Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate video, there's quite gratuitous violence, but it's video game violence. It's not the same as violence against real people. So I tick that box, and again, it's fine. A little bit of bad language, plenty of video game violence, and the content is still considered suitable for most advertisers. So it's in my best interest to be honest. And if my Cyberpunk videos end up getting age restricted, that's probably because they should be age restricted. I don't have a problem with it. I've always rated my own content accurately, and as a result, very quickly after this system was introduced, right at the bottom of the content rating questionnaire, YouTube would tell me your rating accuracy is high. So they don't actually do, or they didn't actually do, an awful lot of checks on the stuff that I uploaded, because I had reliably and consistently accurately self-rated my own stuff, because it's in my best interests to do so. Well, all that changed recently. And for the most stupid of reasons. So I'm going to show you some footage of my YouTube Creator Studio so you can get an idea of what it is that I'm talking about and understand just exactly how absurd this is. So here we go. This is what it looks like. This is what I see. This is the page from which I upload new videos. Now, you need to pay attention to one column in particular, this here, the restrictions column. This will let me know if there's anything in one of those videos that potentially could be impacting whether or not advertisers are going to place adverts on that video. And as you can see, nothing. No restrictions on any of those videos. Let's take a look at the second page. And let's start scrolling down and see if anything's restricted here. Oh, hang on, what's that? Stray, uncaged kitty. Restricted on advertising suitability. What's going on there? Stray seems like it's about as advertiser-friendly a game as you could think of. Well, here's where it gets stupid. My previous Stray video was called Caged Pussy. Pussy? Oh, YouTube didn't like that word. And I even said in the video description, there's no way YouTube's going to let me get away with this title. Straight away, the video got flagged, and because there was nothing wrong with the content, I requested a manual review. And as a result of that manual review, as you can see, the restrictions were lifted. I didn't change the title. It's still called Caged Pussy. There's still a potentially offensive word in the title, but after a manual review, YouTube agreed there's actually nothing wrong with this video, and they lifted the advertising restrictions. But in my very next Stray video, and because I didn't want to go through the whole bother of having to do another manual review, I was going to call it Uncaged Pussy. But instead I just called it Uncaged Kitty. And they slapped a restriction on that one for advertising suitability. And the content of the video was just as family friendly as all of the other Stray videos. It's a very family friendly game. So the one that did not have a potentially inoffensive title also got hit with advertising restrictions. So here we go again, requested another manual review. And the review was rejected. So the video that had a potentially offensive title was flagged and then cleared by a manual review. And then the video that did not have an offensive title was flagged and was denied in a manual review. So, okay, YouTube, fine. Let me just make sure you get what I'm saying here and realise just how absurd this is. The one video that potentially could have been a bit dodgy was confirmed as being fine, and the other video that had absolutely nothing wrong with it was confirmed as being dodgy. The other thing that you need to understand here, I mean, aside from the whole just how ludicrous the situation is that to the best of my knowledge, because I'm not going back over hundreds of videos to check, I mean I could, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't even know how long YouTube have had this system, but I was talking about rating my Cyberpunk videos, so we're probably talking at least 2 years. In that length of time, as far as I'm aware, this is the only time YouTube have ever had an issue with how I rate my own content. Every other video, and we're talking several hundreds of videos, they have agreed with my assessment, and I have therefore enjoyed a high accuracy rating, as confirmed by YouTube on the video publication page. And then, about a week ago, I noticed something. I'm uploading a World of Warships or a World of Tanks video, or whatever it was, doesn't matter, not that important. And right at the bottom of the self-assessment content rating questionnaire, I noticed something had changed. It no longer said, your rating accuracy is high. Now it said, your rating accuracy is low. What the hell? So, just to summarise this for you, just so you understand how completely stupid this whole situation is. Let's say over the course of the last 2 years, and this is probably a conservative estimate, I have uploaded 500 videos. I've probably uploaded more than that, but we'll say 500 just for the sake of argument, just for a nice round number. Of those 500 videos, I have accurately rated the content 500 times. So I have a 100% accuracy rating. Hang on a second, Jingles, you just spent a good few minutes explaining why one of those videos was... actually, hold on, wait, hear me out. The one video that potentially could have had a troublesome title was manually reviewed and confirmed to have absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I do have other videos that have advertising restrictions on them, But they have those advertising restrictions. In fact, some of them are even age restricted, as a result of my honestly rating them as having, for example, in the cyberpunk videos, drug and alcohol abuse, gratuitous violence, nudity, and so on and so on. So those restrictions are in place because I accurately rated the videos. The one restriction that shouldn't be there because there's nothing wrong with the content. So I have 100% accurately rated the content of my videos, as a direct result of which YouTube have now given me a low accuracy rating score. And even if there was anything wrong with that one video, the Stray video, Uncaged Kitty, even if there was, and there isn't, anything wrong with it, that would still mean that over 500 videos, and again this is a conservative estimate, I've almost certainly uploaded more than that, I still have at least a 99.8% content rating accuracy, which YouTube thinks is low. YouTube, I don't think mathematics works the way you think it does. Yeah, it's just YouTube being YouTube, doing YouTube things. So what's the problem here? Well, there isn't really a problem. I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing it really means is that every time I upload a video now, YouTube takes a bit longer checking it. You know, they don't trust me anymore because I'm only, and the very worst case scenario, I'm only 99.8% accurate when it comes to rating my own content. But actually, as we've just proven, I'm 100% accurate, which isn't enough for YouTube. Yeah. Still, it could be worse. If you're the YouTube channel Eckhart's Ladder, for example, it could be an awful lot worse. So on the Salt Mines Discord server, you remember I was talking, I don't know, a month or so ago, about how I own the right, because money has changed hands here. You know, I have purchased the license to use certain tracks from machinimasound.com, but even though I've purchased that right, I can't use that music anymore because it keeps getting claimed anyway. I had a similar situation. There were a couple of tracks that I used to run on the Why You Have to Be Mad videos by an amazing internet musician who goes by the name of D1 of Aquavibe. And many, many years ago, I emailed him and asked him for permission to use a couple of tracks. The Party Troll song, the Happy Troll song, the 3 tracks basically, all very similar. Really, really good music. And I've been using them in my videos. And then they started getting claimed, despite the fact that I have written authorization from the author to use his music. So, like the couple of tracks that I purchased from machinimasound.com, it just got to the stage where it was, even though I have the right to use them, even though in some cases I have bought the right to use them, it was just easier to not use them anymore, because they kept getting claimed anyway. And under YouTube's copyright system, and I have successfully disputed the majority of these claims, by the way, but under YouTube's copyright system, if somebody makes a claim against one of your videos and you dispute it because you believe that you have the right to use that piece of music or video clip or whatever it is, under YouTube's copyright system, after you dispute it, the person who decides whether or not the dispute stands or falls is the person who made the copyright claim. And all they have to do is nothing, and they get all the money from the video. And your only option then is to take them to court. And that shit gets expensive. Certainly more expensive than any revenue that I may be losing from a video that I published 7 years ago that nobody's watching anymore, that happens to contain music that I purchased the right to use. So it's just easier to not use that music anymore, which I haven't been doing for exactly that reason. And of course, the companies making these bullshit copyright claims, they're fully aware of that. That's why they do it, and it's how they get away with it. But, you know, like I said, it's not really costing me anything, because I haven't been using these tunes for years, and the videos they're getting claimed are like 6, 7, 8 years old. Nobody's watching them anymore, so, you know, good luck to you. You're not actually costing me anything. However, in the case of the YouTube channel Eckhart's Ladder, and thank you, by the way, to Unseen Menace on the Salt Mines Discord server for raising this little point. It is actually costing him quite a bit of money. Almost all of the money, in fact. Eckhart's Ladder is, I believe, a Canadian YouTuber whose channel deals with science fiction starships, mostly Star Wars, Star Trek, Halo, that sort of thing. I actually watch his content, it's pretty good. He's been having a similar problem to what's been happening to me in the past, except on a vastly bigger scale. See, whereas I keep getting stuff claimed that's years old and nobody watches anymore, he's getting claims levied against every video that contains a certain audio track that's only about 7 seconds long or so. The problem is, it's in the intro to basically 75% of the videos he's uploaded over the course of the last 10 years. So almost every video he has uploaded is getting copyright claims. Now, if that were to happen to me, and it shouldn't, because all of the intro music that I use in my videos comes from epidemicsound.com, which is a music licensing agency, and they put your YouTube channel on a whitelist providing that you hold a license to use any of their stuff. They're a fantastic service, by the way. I've never had a problem. Well, I have had one problem, but it was all my own fault. You might be aware, and I haven't actually uploaded anything there in about 6 months, but I have a second YouTube channel, Home with a Gnome. And in one of those Home with a Gnome videos, I thought, oh, I've got all this licensed music. It's excellent music, by the way, from epidemicsound.com. So I included it in one of the Home with a Gnome videos, not realising, and I should have, it's just me being stupid, that the license only covers the Mighty Jingles channel, not the Home with the Gnome channel. So that got slapped with a copyright claim from Epidemic Sound, which I didn't dispute because they were 100% in the right. It was just me being stupid. So that's completely fair. I don't have a problem with fair copyright claims. But let's just say, for example, that instead of using audio clips from Epidemic Sound, which is a big company, they've got the clout to aggressively defend their copyright in the event of spurious claims. Let's just say, instead of using music from Epidemic Sound for the intros for my World of Warships and World of Tanks videos, which is where they come from, I was doing the same thing that Eckhart's Ladder was doing, which was the same thing that I did with, remember I talked about D1 of Aquavibe and the Party Troll song and the Happy Troll song? I have written permission from D1 of Aquavibe to use those tracks, but there's no point in me using them anymore because they get claimed anyway, and that's exactly what's happening with Eckhart's Ladder. But unlike my situation, where it only happens on videos that are 7 years old and nobody watches anymore, it's happening on 75% of his back catalogue in every new video he uploads. And there's a big difference between the content I upload and the content he uploads, because he still gets a shit ton of traffic on all of the videos that he's uploaded for the last 10 years because of the nature of the content. You see, if this would have happened to me, I mean, it would be bad, but it wouldn't be devastatingly bad, because the stuff that I upload basically gets all of its views in the first week. After that, hardly anybody's watching them anymore. That's just the nature of the content that I upload, but it doesn't matter because I'm uploading new stuff nearly every day, and that's generating fresh views. So if this was to happen to me, I would simply stop using that audio track. So for me, it would be a problem in the short term. I mean, I would definitely be losing money, but after about a week or so, the problem would kind of mostly go away. That is not the case with Eckhart's Ladder because of the nature of the content that he uploads. He does in-depth reviews, analysis, conjecture about various different science fiction franchise starships, for example. And there's always somebody doing a Google search for Star Destroyer or the Pillar of Autumn from Halo. So he's constantly getting traffic on nearly every video he has ever uploaded, and almost all of it is being claimed. Here's the question though, are these fair copyright claims, or are they spurious claims? And while he definitely does have the right to use this music, they could still be fair copyright claims. I'll explain what I mean by that. And it's a similar situation to what happened with me and D1 of Aquavibe and his Party Troll song and Happy Troll song, because I do have written permission from him, in the same way that Eckhart's Ladder has written permission from the author of the track that he uses in his video intros. But companies can still make fair copyright claims even though you have written permission from the author to use those audio tracks. And it can happen quite innocently. There doesn't have to be anything dodgy going on. It's not necessarily somebody making fraudulent copyright claims. What could have happened, which I suspect is what happened with D1 of Aquavibe, is that many, many years ago when I got permission from him, to use a couple of his audio tracks. At the time, he was, kind of small scale and probably quite happy to get the exposure on YouTube, because I always gave him credit. It's the least I could do. But since then, perhaps he got a bit more successful. I certainly hope so. He deserves it. And he signed up a content management agency to safeguard his copyright. And for one reason or another, probably because it happened years ago, they didn't know that I had permission to use certain tracks. So that company then started looking after the interests of the person who paid them to do so, and started claiming everything that contained his music. I suspect that's what happened between myself and D1 of Aquavibe. And honestly, I hadn't used any of his stuff for so long, and it didn't really matter, so I just stopped using it, even though I still have the right to use it. And Eckhart's first thought was, maybe this is what's happened here. So he got in touch with the author of the music that he uses in all of his intros and said, have you signed up with a content management agency to safeguard your rights? And he said, no. So you've never heard of Orchard Music, the company that was making all of these copyright claims against Eckhart's Ladder? And the guy said, nope, never heard of them, never signed a contract with them. They do not own the rights to claim any of this shit. This company, Orchard Music, was basically stealing money from both Eckhart's Ladder and the author of the music that Eckhart's Ladder was using. What can you do about it? And that's the trick, isn't it? Because YouTube's copyright claim system is basically broken. I'll give you a quick summary of how it works. Somebody makes a copyright claim against one of your videos. At that point, they instantly start receiving all of the advertising revenue from that video. They don't have to prove ownership, they don't have to prove anything. All they have to do is make the claim and start stealing your money. At that point, you get to make a dispute, and the dispute process is manual. Right? You can't bulk dispute everything that's being claimed. You have to do them one at a time. At the time of recording this video, I think Eckhart's Ladder has 175 disputes ongoing, and he had to file each and every one of them individually. You can send out bulk copyright claims on videos, but you have to individually and manually dispute the claims. What happens once a claim has been disputed is everybody stops earning money from the video. The video will still continue to earn money, but the money is set aside by YouTube until the claim has been disputed. The claimant then has 30 days to respond to your dispute, and here's the trick. If you are fraudulently claiming, if you are dishonestly and fraudulently stealing money from people by filing false copyright claims, and all you have to do is nothing in order to win that claim, well, you're clearly not going to drop the claim, are you? You're just going to wait for the 30 days to time out and then take the money, which is, of course, what Orchard Music have been doing to Eckhart's Ladder. And they're getting away with it because YouTube just doesn't give a shit. Both Eckhart's Ladder and the author of the music, the person who actually owns the rights to this music, have contacted YouTube and told them what's going on, and YouTube doesn't give a shit. Yeah, you have to use our dispute process, but I have 5,000 videos being claimed, and I have to file individual claims on each and every one. It's complete bullshit from start to finish. Can't you see how broken your system is? It's almost physically impossible for me to use the dispute process because so many videos are being disputed. Yeah, you have to use the dispute process. You're not listening to me. Of course YouTube isn't listening to him, because I sincerely doubt he's ever actually spoken to a real person. YouTube have invested millions in ensuring that nobody actually gets to talk to anybody at YouTube. Whenever you end up in this kind of situation, what you're actually talking to is a bot. He reached out to his YouTube content manager, 100% useless, unable to do anything, clearly didn't give a shit. And, at the end of the day, why should YouTube give a shit? Because regardless of who wins the dispute, YouTube are still earning their advertising dollar. Doesn't matter whether or not Orchard Music or Eckhart's Ladder win the claim, YouTube are still getting their advertising dollar. YouTube's response throughout all of this, and it's probably a very, very sophisticated response that if you didn't know any better, you might think was actually coming from a real person, because YouTube have invested millions in ensuring that you never actually get to speak to somebody at YouTube. Their response throughout all of this has just been, yeah, use the content dispute system, that's what it's for, we don't care. What's that? The content dispute system that's basically set up to ensure that the person making the claim wins with zero effort? Yes, that one. Keep using that one. It's so unbelievably broken that if it wasn't costing Eckhart's Ladder thousands and thousands of dollars every month, it would be hilarious. We are all, in fact, fake laughing. The tears are real, however. So, but what can be done about this? Because there's not an awful lot to stop, because this is what happens. There's not an awful lot to stop a bunch of scammers setting up a fake rights management company and then just trolling YouTube, lodging spurious copyright claims by the thousand and stealing money from people. At the end of the dispute process, they just say, no, we'll keep the money, thank you, and they keep the money. And at that point, your only option is to take them to court. And that shit gets expensive, particularly in the USA, but it's not cheap anywhere. That stuff gets expensive real fast. But if it is, if Orchard Music are just a bunch of scammers setting up a fake copyright management company and trolling YouTube for a whole bunch of claims that they can instigate and steal money from people, you are clearly in the right. Taking them to court, while it's going to be expensive, you should win, right? Yeah, but here's the thing. See, Orchard Music are not just a bunch of scammers setting up a fake content management firm and then trolling YouTube to see who they can steal money from. They're owned by Sony Music. So, are you going to take Sony to court for stealing 75% of your monthly income every month? Well, you probably should, but good luck with that. So, yeah, in this week's news, YouTube. It's shit. Like I said, it's been a bit of a slow news week. But I think, honestly, at this point, Eckhart's Ladder's only recourse is to just, and this is why I'm mentioning it, because it's not just Eckhart's Ladder, of course. I mean, this is just the latest in a long, long list of utterly broken YouTube copyright claims, because YouTube's copyright claim system is terrible. I mean, I understand why it's terrible. I've talked about this in previous episodes, because the copyright laws are terrible. Because in most jurisdictions, the copyright laws basically have remained unchanged since the 1950s, and mostly haven't been updated to take into account the digital age. Back in the day, the only way it was possible, in most cases, to actually violate somebody's copyright was to own your own TV, radio, or movie studio. And companies like that had teams of lawyers who would handle any copyright disputes lodged against them by the teams of lawyers from other radio, TV, or movie studios. But the laws haven't changed, and clearly we live in a different age now, where anybody can potentially violate somebody's copyright just by uploading it onto YouTube. So while it's not really YouTube's fault, because YouTube's policy, first and foremost, is obviously going to be to protect themselves against copyright claims, which is why they have instituted this system, which heavily favours the person making the claim. So YouTube doesn't end up getting sued. It's understandable, but that doesn't make it any less shit. The laws need to change. And the only way that's going to happen is if enough people cause enough of an uproar over it. And so in my own, however small way, this is basically why I'm raising the issue of what's been happening with Eckhart's Ladder. He's not the only one, of course. He's just the tip of the iceberg. But whatever little I can do to help out, I am more than happy to do, because, again, due to the nature of the content that I upload compared to the content that he uploads, this doesn't really affect me that much, but I definitely still have a horse in this race. So, yeah. Happy to raise awareness of the issue. Again, and I certainly wish him the best, because I would not like to be in his situation. Anyway, I wanted to close off this episode of Mingles with Jingles with a spot of good news, and it is very, very, very good news, because I just heard on PC Gamer's website that Night Dive Studios, developers of the upcoming System Shock remake, and if you've never heard of System Shock, you really should, because it is one of the best computer games ever made. And they're doing a remake, updated for modern PCs with modern graphics, and they've just announced that it's due to arrive in March. I've been following the progress of this remake for a very, very long time now, and I think I might just have to clear a window in my publishing schedule for March. I'm very much looking forward to this. Almost certainly going to be doing a video series on it. And hopefully you lot, if you're not playing it for yourself, and you really, really should, hopefully you lot are going to enjoy it too. But that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Mingles with Jingles. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.